I married, began the first old man, in my early life, my cousin, with whom I lived more than 20 years in much happiness. The only thing that abated it was that we had no children. The desire of posterity induced me to buy a slave, by whom I shortly had a son. I still lived in great harmony with my wife, who always treated the slave kindly, and appeared to be very fond of my boy. Some years after his birth I was obliged to go a long journey, and on my return, my wife told me that my son and my slave were both dead. I lamented their loss very much, but the feast of Bairam approaching, I thought it my duty to overcome my sorrow, and prepare for the holy festival. Accordingly I gave orders to my farmer to bring up one of the fattest cows, to sacrifice at the commencement of the solemnity. He obeyed, but when the cow was brought to me she bellowed piteously, and I could perceive tears run down from her eyes. Struck with so singular a spectacle, and moved, knew not how, one was about to send the cow back and order another, when my wife opposed any exchange with great vehemence. I suffered myself to be prevailed on, and though I could not kill her myself, I ordered my farmer to do so, who obeyed me. When she was slain, it was found, notwithstanding her plump appearance, that she was mere skin and bone, and wholly unfit for the intended sacrifice. I immediately sent for another fat beast. When the farmer brought a calf, whose behaviour was still more extraordinary, he broke the cord, ran to me, and fell at my feet. I determined to listen to the impulse I felt in favour of this calf, and accordingly ordered him to be taken back, although my wife interfered with still greater eagerness, and insisted that he should be slaughtered. The day following, my farmer desired to speak with me alone. He took me to his own habitation, and introduced me to his daughter. By her I was informed that during my journey my wife had learned the black art, and by that means had transformed my slave into the cow we had unfortunately slaughtered the day before, and my son into the calf which had so narrowly escaped. I leave you to judge, powerful genie, how much I was distressed at this account, but not doubting my informer was able to restore my son, as she had the skill to discover his situation. I very earnestly besought her assistance on 2 conditions, replied she. I will restore him. First, that you give him me for a husband, and secondly, that you permit me to punish, as she deserves, the wicked enchantress who has transformed him. I consented. She then pronounced certain words, and sprinkling my son with water, he resumed his shape. He joyfully married his fair benefactress, who changed my wicked wife into the hind you see here. The story of the old man with the 2 black dogs, prince of genii, said the second old man. These dogs and myself are brothers. On the death of our father we divided his substance among us, and each received 1,000 sequins. One of my brothers resolved to travel, laid out his money in goods suited to the country he intended to visit, and departed. After a year's absence, he returned in great distress, having lost all his effects. Meantime, by industry, I had acquired an additional 1,000 sequins, which I readily gave him. My other brother, not disheartened by the ill success of the first, pursued the same measures. Very shortly he also returned entirely ruined. To him also I gave another 1,000 sequins. We then agreed to remain at home, and pursue our business carefully, without seeking further adventures. Some years afterward, both my brothers besought me to join with them in a trading voyage. Their importunity prevailed. I disposed of my stock, which now produced 6,000 sequins, half of which I buried in a corner of the house, and gave each of my brothers 1,000 of the remainder. We arrived safely at our destined port, where we sold our adventures to good profit. When we were nearly ready to return, I met on the banks of the sea a lady, handsome, but poorly clad, who very earnestly persuaded me to marry her. I consented, and having taken her on board the vessel, we set sail. My wife proved to be possessed of so many good qualities that I became every day more fond of her. My unworthy brothers, envying my superior good fortune, seized us both while asleep, and threw us into the sea. But little did these bad men imagine the punishment that awaited their cruelty and ingratitude. My wife was a fairy. She conveyed me home, and conducted the vessel, which had ray goods on board, safe into port. Before one knew of its arrival, 2 black dogs came crouching to me in the most submissive manner. These, said the fairy, are your brothers. Thus is their wickedness requited, and it is one part of their punishment, that in this degraded state they must look for support and protection to the buyer that they so basely betrayed. The genie thought these adventures so singular that he remitted the punishment of the merchant and disappeared. And the merchant, after suitably thanking his benefactors, returned home again with joy to his family. The Sultan was delighted with these stories. He requested Scheherazade to proceed next night to another, and going into the divan the vizier, his family, the court, and the people in general were overjoyed to find that he gave no orders to put the beautiful sultaness to death. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you get the next episode as soon as it is out. And make sure to like the video because it really helps us keep going. Are you ready to find out what happens next? The answers and decisive confrontations are waiting for you in the next episode, coming very soon. Don't miss it at the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode, coming soon.